Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're decoding the absolute fastest-growing, most heavily demanded job in the tech industry right now. If you've been paying attention to the job market lately, especially anywhere near the AI space, you've probably seen this mysterious title popping up everywhere. It commands massive compensation, demands a really unique skill set, and is fundamentally changing how software gets shipped. It's called the Forward Deployed Engineer. So we're going to break down exactly what it is, why companies are literally desperate to hire for it, and how you can actually break into this field.
Okay, let's dive right into this. To really understand this role, you kind of have to think of a hybrid. You're part software engineer, part solutions architect, part consultant, and part startup CTO. A forward deployed engineer, or FDE, is definitely not your standard back-office programmer. You've got the technical chops to build complex software, the client-facing finesse of a top-tier advisor, the big-picture vision of an architect, and honestly, the sheer scrappy execution speed of a startup founder. It's a role that requires you to step way out from behind the safety of the product team and right onto the front lines of the customer's business. And if you're wondering just how hot this job is right now, 729%. According to recent enterprise job listing data, that is the staggering year-over-year growth for forward-deployed engineer roles heading into early 2026. This isn't a slow trend, it is an absolute explosion. Companies have finally realized that having a great product just isn't enough anymore. They need highly specialized engineers who can actually make that product work in the messy, unpredictable real world.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll define the FDE role. 2, the Palantir origin story. 3, why FDEs are so high profile. 4, the explosive FDE market opportunities. And 5, acing that FDE interview.
Section 1, defining the FDE role. What exactly is an FDE? So, a forward deployed engineer is a customer embedded engineer who scopes, writes, ships, and basically owns custom production code directly inside a client's live environment. The absolutely crucial point here is end-to-end accountability. You don't just build a cool feature and toss it over the fence for someone else to implement. No, you join the client's daily stand-ups, you commit code to their repositories, and you ensure the AI model or software platform actually delivers real value. If it breaks in production 6 months down the line, guess what? You're the one who fixes it. Now, you might be wondering, isn't this just a solutions architect? Well, not quite. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. A solutions architect will typically design a really beautiful system, hand the client a detailed design document, and then move on to the next deal. A forward-deployed engineer, on the other hand, is an execution-focused builder. They take that design, roll up their sleeves, write the actual production code, build out the data pipelines, and stay totally accountable until the software is running seamlessly out in the wild.
Moving to Section 2, the Palantir origin story. Let's look at where it all began.
This role was really born out of sheer operational necessity. Back in the mid-2000s, Palantir Technologies was selling incredibly complex data software to intelligence agencies. We're talking highly secure, air-gapped environments. Palantir quickly realized a consultant couldn't just hand over an instruction manual and leave. So they created Delta engineers, engineers with high-level security clearances who embedded directly on-site at places like the CIA to write code and wire all these massive systems together. By 2014, this embedded model became Palantir's primary go-to-market engine. And today, in 2026, cutting-edge AI labs like OpenAI and Anthropic are aggressively copying this exact playbook because deploying frontier AI requires that exact same level of deep embedded problem-solving.
Section 3, why FDEs are high profile. Let's talk about solving the deployment problem. It all really comes down to what we call the deployment problem. Right now, massive enterprises are incredibly eager to buy complex AI solutions. But here's the harsh reality. AI models often fail the second they hit a customer's messy, outdated, real-world infrastructure. You can have the absolute smartest large language model in the world, but if it can't safely connect to a bank's clunky 2019 legacy database, it's basically useless. Customers simply lack the internal engineering capacity to integrate these advanced tools on their own.
And that's why FDEs are the ultimate solution to this deployment problem. They operate almost like a startup CTO for the client. Think about it. They walk into a room of non-technical executives, listen to an incredibly ambiguous, tangled business problem, and literally immediately translate that into a workable technical architecture. Then they go and debug pipelines in strange environments they've never even seen before. But perhaps most importantly, they take all that friction and all those edge cases they discover on the front lines, and they feed those requirements right back to their core product team so the main software can actually get better. They are the essential bridge between back-office coding and frontline mission success.
Section 4, explosive FFD market opportunities.
Let's break down the massive compensation.
Now, what's really interesting about this data is the sheer scale of the financial upside here. We're looking at compensation data for 2026. At the baseline across most industries, total comp sits comfortably between $215,000 and $310,000. For Tier 2 enterprise SaaS and AI companies, that jumps to a massive $350 to $550K. And if you manage to land a role at a Tier 1 frontier AI lab, places like OpenAI or Anthropic, senior packages are hitting $725,000, with principal FTE roles literally clearing over $1 million a year. The market is paying an unbelievable, huge premium for engineers who can absolutely guarantee client success. In the competition for this talent pool, it is fiercely split into 3 major arenas. You've got defense tech companies like Anduril and Shield AI, where engineers might literally be deploying software onto military hardware in austere environments. Then you have the frontier AI labs, pushing the boundaries of what these massive models can do in strict enterprise settings. And finally, enterprise SaaS giants like Databricks and Salesforce, who desperately need to integrate complex data ecosystems. It's fascinating to see how impartially the market has distributed this role. Whether it's national security, cutting-edge AI, or global commerce, the need for these embedded builders is completely universal right now.
Section 5. Acing the FDE interview. Time to prepare to deploy.
Let's break down a typical interview loop, using Anthropic as an example. You're going to start with a recruiter screen that is heavily focused on mission fit. Then, instead of just solving abstract, textbook, algorithmic puzzles on a whiteboard, you're hit with practical technical tests, like actually building a rate limiter or a tool called Dispatcher. You'll face a hiring manager deep dive, an LLM system design round focused heavily on evaluating model reliability, and finally, a client simulation. And guys, this is the curveball round that trips most people up. It's where they really test your ability to scope a messy, highly ambiguous problem while role-playing with a difficult, unpredictable stakeholder. So to actually survive that loop, you need the right tech stack. And a word of advice, do not try to learn everything. The consensus from the sources is incredibly clear here. Prioritize deep, hands-on knowledge. You definitely need production-grade Python because you have to build tools rapidly on site. You need deep, not shallow knowledge of one major cloud platform, whether that's AWS, Azure, or GCP. You absolutely must understand AI evaluation design, meaning you can actually mathematically prove an AI works safely. And you need to be an absolute master at API integration and debugging distributed systems that you didn't even build. Because of that very unique stack, let's look at some critical pitfalls candidates fall into. The absolute biggest mistake is treating this like a normal LeetCode backend loop. Interviewers don't just want a clever algorithm. They want safe, deployable code. Another fatal error is over-focusing on writing cool AI prompts while completely ignoring boring, real-world enterprise constraints like role-based access control, audit logs, and security. But honestly, perhaps the #1 reason candidates get rejected is proposing a technical architecture before clarifying the customer's messy workflow. If you jump straight to a solution before asking the client discovery questions, you will fail the simulation round, for sure. The forward deployed engineer is completely redefining what it means to build software. It requires serious technical brilliance, yes, but also deep empathy, business acumen, and the courage to actually own a product's success out in the wild. It pays incredibly well because the problems are incredibly hard. So my final question to you is this. Are you ready to step out of your comfort zone, leave the back office behind, and deploy on the front lines of tech's most demanding new role? Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.